Hello everyone, welcome back. I want to talk a little bit today about the situation in Syria. Okay, Trump has announced that he's going to pull the U.S. troops out of Syria, and it seems like we are abandoning our allies, which never sounds good. But the problem is that as I look at this, we are on the verge of a civil war right here in the United States. Okay, if we're at the point of a civil war here in the United States, we are in no position to be helping anybody else anywhere else, and that is the most important factor here. Okay, now what I also want to do is I also like to take a step back and look at the historic situation in Syria and kind of see where things have been and where they're going, because that's pretty clear. Okay, the two powers in that immediate region are Turkey, okay, and Russia. Okay, and when I say Turkey, I mean this goes way back to the Ottoman Empire. Okay, so you have the Ottomans and you have the Russians, and if you guys want, look up the Turco-Russo Wars. Okay, these two guys, the Turks, and nowadays we call them the Turks, but back then they used to be called the Ottomans. The Turks and the Russians have been fighting each other for centuries. Okay, in fact, the Russians probably played a key role in stopping Ottoman expansion into Europe. Okay, I know that the Russians played a major role in getting the Ottomans out of Greece. Okay, but at one point the Ottomans were pushing into Hungary, into Romania. And there was a very famous prince that fought them there. You guys have heard of him, even though you don't know it. His name, he's known as Vlad Tepes. You guys know him as Dracula. Okay, Dracula was a real man. He fought Ottomans, Turks, and the reason why he has that bad reputation is that he liked to take the Ottomans and impale them on 20-foot 20-foot spikes. Okay, basically he would impale them through their asses, usually up and through their bellies and sometimes out their mouths. So that's how Dracula got that mean reputation. The real man was actually a lot more brutal than the fictional character. Okay, but anyway, that's another story. I encourage you guys to look up the real man Dracula, Vlad Tepes. But Tepes, I think, stands for impaler. Okay, so it was Vlad the Impaler. But going back to the situation between the Russians and the Turks, these guys have been fighting for centuries. Right now it looks like the Turks are slaughtering the Kurds, but I expect that the Russians will get involved at some point and start backing the Kurds, and the Kurds are going to basically be proxy fighters for the Russians. So that's where that situation has to go. Okay, those are the two combatants, the two main combatants of that area. Okay, you got Turks, you got Russians. I don't like the idea of sending a small group of American soldiers, somewhere between 50 and 300, and putting them in between these two. Okay, if you are going to get involved between two fairly large-sized powers like that, you have to commit lots of resources to something like that. And where we are right now in the United States, where we're on the precipice of a civil war, we are in no position to do that. So this is my these are my thoughts on this. If you guys have different opinions, by all means post it in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it, and if you're not a member of my channel, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.